Hey YouTubers, how's it going? Is it going good? That's good. Glad. I'm glad you're good. I'm good too, thanks for asking. If you don't follow my Twitter, which you should, then you probably have no idea what this is. Neither do I. We're just kind of winging it here. Um, I figured since I'm currently in Calgary, Alberta, doing some schooling stuff, I figured to best maintain my sanity would be to record my thoughts into a microphone and send it into the abyss that is the internet and just sort of see what happens. So this is basically, yeah, just a podcast, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. I don't know what I'm going to call it. Something. And, yeah. That's what we're doing here. We're just going to talk. It's going to be very casual. Probably have something playing in the background just to look at. But it's mostly just me chatting about, I don't know, something, nothing, anything. I also take inspiration from other podcasts, specifically ones that it's just people talking about everyday issues, their issues, social issues, and some I find them quite relaxing to listen. No, I don't know if it's relaxing because some of the people I listen to, they get very aggressive and ranty and loud. Enlightening, more or less, you could say. And I hope to be able to do that, whether with my issues or talking about other issues or just whatever. And probably the biggest reason for doing this is I would not be here at all, not even close to being here, without help of many people, scholarships in particular, that have donated ridiculous sums of money, and I am forever thankful. And one in particular was like, hey, we could do this without some of our donors, so why don't you share your story and we'll share it with them and we'll go from there. And I figured that would be cool. I'm alright with that. I like sharing my stories. I like to talk. But I may as well put a modern twist on it. I'm sure candidates in the past have just written it out or typed it out. I'm going to talk it out. So it'll be different. It'll put my own spin on it. I have no idea what my story is supposed to be. If it's like what I'm going to do with the scholarship money or what I've done with my life up until this point. There was no specifics. It was just like, share your story. And I was like, okay. And then it was now. So, yeah, here we are. No idea what to do. I don't know. I just kind of turned on the recorder and was like, hey. And, yeah, no clue what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm just trying to pass the time until classes starts, which is tomorrow. Today's, I'm recording this on September the 3rd, but you'll be seeing or listening to this on the 10th, because that's when I usually upload. So, classes will have already started for me. In fact, I'll already be starting my second week of classes by the time you listen to this. You're probably wondering what I'm studying. I am in a full-time course to be a railway conductor. For which company? I prefer Canadian Pacific, but I'll take Canadian National as well, whoever wants to hire me. Whoever hires me first, really. They're both trains. It's fine by me. But I'm definitely more particular to CP. So it's a 15-week course starting tomorrow, September the 4th. Although tomorrow in your case will be the 11th because of scheduling things. This is in the past. This is said and done. Everything's happened already. This is the past. You're in the future. It's a 15-week course. It goes from September 4th to December 14th, and then I'm home, and then depending on how things go, driving trains. Be fun. And it costs a lot of money that I cannot provide because I'm poor. So I've had to reach out to various scholarships and bursaries, and some have very kindly provided me with some money so I can afford a place to be and a tuition and school supplies and transport and anything else that happens to come up. Food, that's important. Don't know if I mentioned that yet. I have to pay for food. But yeah, stories. Probably not many. I don't think anybody other than close family knows specifically how things went from day one to day now. I don't know what day this is. How many days have I been here on Earth? Someone count for me, please. So yeah, we'll go back to sort of like kindergarten. Yeah, we'll go to like just before then. So that's pretty much as far back as I can remember. Um, Basically, it all started many moons ago in a small trailer court in the village of Radium Hot Springs, British Columbia. It's a nice little trailer court. There were, I want to say like 12 trailers, I think. At the time, I lived pretty much by myself with my mother, because my dad lived in his own trailer in a different trailer court many miles away. Not too far, like just outside of Radium. Dry Gulch is like between Radium and Invermere, if you have any idea where any of that is. So it's basically just myself and my mother. I did have an older brother, but he was, as far as I can remember, always either in jail or some other person's house. Very rarely actually in the trailer with us. So it's basically just me and my mom. I'm pretty sure we were always on welfare. We were never not entirely rich because, well, we live in a trailer court. Not many rich people live in trailer courts, I'll be honest. And yeah, that's where it all started. Of course, I was too young and ignorant to understand the full scale of how poor we were. I was just quite content with playing with the sprinkler in the backyard or playing with my Thomas the Trains in the not really basement, but it was like in the extension. It was like an entire room I had to myself. Very big room. I also had like my only friend in the entire world. She lived 2 trailers over from us. Her name was, I guess I can say her name. No one knows who she is. I don't even. She doesn't talk to me anymore. I don't even know where she is. But her name was Odessa. She lived 2 trailers over, and we hung out more often than not. I think our big thing was basically just, what kids do. They just pretend. They make believe. They imagine things. We also sang a lot. We were probably terrible singers back then. I wouldn't know. And yeah, that's pretty much all we did. So, as far as I'm concerned, it was a great life. Then I think, when was this? I want to say kindergarten. It was probably kindergarten or like grade 1. There was a company that was building condos basically all around our trailer court because the trailer court itself was not owned by them. But they were building condos because I think it was mostly because there was a mill in Radium, and that was pretty much the only industry in the entire area. And I guess this company figured, hey, if we build condos, more people can move to Radium and enjoy whatever Radium has to offer. Tourism and the mill, that's pretty much it. But anyway, they were building condos, and for some reason, somebody took a look at a trailer court and said, money. So they literally bought the entire trailer court and told us to get the fuck out. And there was no choice in the matter. No one who lives in a trailer court has the money to go up against a company who just bought it. The only upside was that we could stay in one of their condos for 1 year free of rent. And after that, I guess we had to pay for it. I think that pivotal moment when we had to move out of our lovely Jevely trailer court. I think that's when it all started to go downhill. Again, I'm being a kid at this point, so I'm not sure what the specifics are. I have no idea what my mom's income is. I was just quite content to live with my mother, who I think at that point, because before we moved out, she had remarried to another computer technician. So that was nice and all. But anyway, we move couple. I don't know. It was pretty. We're still in like the same general area, but we moved about a couple blocks, I think, from where the trailer court initially was. So now we're living in this tiny space, and yeah, we lived 1 year there free. My best friend in the whole world moved to who knows where. I think it was Sparwood, but I have no idea if she's still there. She's probably gone to university by now. And then I think after a year there, because we no longer had the free thing, after a year you had to pay for rent, which, condos being expensive and all for rich people, because that's the kind of market they were aiming for, we couldn't afford that, obviously. So we spent the next year barely making payments on time and trying to find a place that was a little bit cheaper. Also around this time, funny enough, and also rather inconvenient, the mill shut down. So my father, who lived in a separate trailer court, that was where he worked, and that was where I think most of our income came from, apart from welfare. Now he no longer has a job, so that's gone. And because of the mill shut down, people are moving away to find work elsewhere. The company building the condos, well, there's no longer people moving into Radium, so what's the point? I'm pretty sure the company went bankrupt shortly after that. And the entire trailer court that they bought from us, completely abandoned, with all the trailers gone except like one or two. Nobody lives in them anymore as far as I know. Just completely abandoned the property, so it's like, could have stayed, but that would have brought up so many legal issues at the time. Anyway, yeah, I think they had a bunch of condos, not in the place where we were, but like near there. They were still building condos when they decided that they needed more land. It doesn't even make sense. Companies are stupid. But those condos that they were still working on when the company went under remained just empty shells of plywood and timber for like 7 or 8 years. Very long time. They were completely abandoned. Feels bad. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes. We had, after almost 2 years in the condo, I don't even know if we managed to pay off the debts, the bills, the rent at the place. We ended up moving to the very first ever proper house, actually in the actual town of Radium. That's where we stayed for another 2 years. Maybe it was more than that. Let's see, I'm trying to figure out the timeline in my head here. I want to say it was like end of grade 1 is probably when we moved to the condo. A couple years later, so grade 3, end of grade 3, we moved. Yeah, I think that's when we moved to the town. Not the town. We moved to the house in town. Grade 3. Yeah, that sounds about right. So we were there for a couple of years. That wasn't too bad, apart from how poor the actual house was, because, funny enough, cheap places to live aren't that well maintained. There is mold in quite a few places. I don't know if the roof ever leaked, but that was there was definitely mold in sort of like around the edges where water sort of seeps into the foundation. I can't speak. Let's try this again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Foundation. Water seeps into the foundation of the house and makes a crack, grows mold. Terrible situation. There was also a time where we had a pack rat living in the house with us. there were two floors. There was like sort of like the basement type place, and then the upper floor where everyone lived. And then there was a space between the two floors where Pack Rat managed to get in and just kind of lived there for a bit. That was not fun. So poor living place, in combination with the fact that my mother's brother, who stayed with us for some time, would often invite whoever his current drug dealer was at the time to stay as well, and the landlords were not very happy about those sketchy people. So we were not happy with them, they were not happy with us. 2 years later, I want to say, I'm pretty sure it was like between grade 5 and grade 6, they said, alright, get out. So we did. That's when we gave up on Radium, which was a good choice because Radium's terrible. Full of tourists. We gave up on Radium and we moved to Edgewater. I'm pretty sure, yeah, that was between grade 5 and grade 6. So I would have been between 10 and 11. I think it was my 11th birthday because I remember my brother having moved to Kelowna some while ago and found a girlfriend. He came back and was like, hey, brother, let's catch up and go on a trip. So we went on a trip to Calgary while everyone else moved to a house, well, another trailer much like the one we originally lived in, which was in Edgewater, owned by cousins of ours, native cousins. I'm not sure how exactly they're related. But they moved to Victoria, I think it was, and let us rent the place from them. So that was the third move in my life. Trailer to condo to, yeah, third. So that was that. We're back in a trailer. Not our own trailer, but a new one. Comfortable place. Not too bad. I enjoyed it. We stayed there the longest, apart from the original trailer we lived in. So that was enjoyable. And Edgewater is also a very nice and quiet town. Not many tourists go there. I honestly don't think many people know it even exists, so to be honest. So that was enjoyable. I quite enjoyed it. However, it was honestly worse. While we weren't entirely aware of many of the issues, it was far worse than the house that we came from before. For one, the roof leaked in various places. We also had 2 wood stoves. Well, a wood stove and one that took wood pellets. Those were both illegal, apparently. We were not allowed to use them, but we did anyway, because we have no actual heating. So that was fun dango. And there's also, what else was there? Mold. That was like a given from almost all the places we live now. What we didn't find out until we had to move out, which I'll get to in a minute, there was literally a lake underneath of our bathroom. We weren't aware of it, but it was there. So yeah, I'd say we went from bad living to worse living somehow, although we weren't entirely aware of it for the most part. But the reason we had to leave, this was several years later now. I think we were there for like 4 years. Four, yeah. Something doesn't add up in my mind, but I'm pretty sure it was 4 years, because I was finished elementary school. I was in high school by the time we moved again. So anyway, yeah, I think it was 4 years. The natives who we were renting from, I don't know if it was them specifically or the people before them, owed a lot of money on the house to somebody somewhere in particular. Probably to the bank, I'm assuming, if they bought the place from the bank, and then the bank was like, you need to give us money, and they were like, no. That would make sense to me. I could be wrong, though. But anyway, somebody, not us, owed a lot of money on the house, and we, of course, couldn't pay that. We're on welfare for crap's sakes. And then, so yeah, the bank decided they were going to buy the house. And The only upside to that is that they don't kick you out right away. They let you live there until somebody else buys the place, which doesn't make any sense to me. If somebody's living in a place and the bank buys it and says you can live here until someone else takes it. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. Why? Let us live there. We're not doing anything wrong. God. I guess it was in the long run good though, because it was a terrible place to live in. Poor living conditions. There was a thing that I forgot about in the time that we were living there, because at times it was rather difficult to balance paying bills and paying for groceries. It was in March. I can't remember what year, but it was definitely the month of March. We spent the entire month of March without electricity in the house. So we had to rely entirely on candles to see, and the fireplace, the only legal fireplace, in order to keep warm. It was not fun at all. For the most part, we did because we can't do laundry. The washing and drying machine kind of require electricity. So we do laundry at family places. I would usually stay with my dad in his own trailer court somewhere. I think by now the mill started up again, so he was back at work. But it still took quite the toll. There's also a time, I think I wasn't at the house, but my stepdad, whom the technician my mother married, had I think it was a heart attack. This is during the power outage, so there's still snow on the ground, it's cold outside. The ambulance has to try and struggle up our non-plowed alleyway, because we don't have the ability to plow it, and the community main roads, whatever the hell, they don't plow it either, because it's an alleyway. Who plows alleyways? So the ambulance got stuck, mud-caked boots through the dark house. It was not a fun time. I was not there to witness it. I don't know if I'd ever want to be. But yeah, that was definitely a low. Not a good month. No, it was not. But we made it out of there alive, to the point where back to where was I? The bank. Yes, the bank bought our house. We could stay there, but like almost every week, some guy was like showing people through the building. It was like, hey, this is this place, this is that thing, this is the kitchen, this is the bathroom. And then the people would either be saying, sure, we'll look into it, or they'd be saying, nah, we'll try somewhere else. So that happened for a while. And then finally, I don't know, a couple guys somewhere finally bought the place. I'm not sure how much it was for, but it was more than the property was actually worth. At least more than the house was worth, because the house was garbage. But they bought it from the bank, so that was our final warning saying, hey, gotta move now. I think we were down to the wire in finding a place to move to. We finally found a house. No, it was another trailer. We only had the one house ever. Every other place was either some sort of condo or a trailer. So we found a trailer not in Edgewater. It was south of Invermere, to a similarly named place, Windermere. They're like 5 feet from each other. I don't even know why they're separate towns. But we found a place. We moved there, and because it was literally half the size of our place in Edgewater, we had to downsize by a lot. We now rent a storage unit that has a lot of our stuff in it, and we just pretty much just packed the essentials. I think we also had a U-Haul truck to get everything from the one place to the other, because we were down to the wire. It was like few days before our get out date, and we did indeed get out. So that was unfortunately the goodbye to Edgewater. Nice quiet place. I missed it. I had nice nature walks there. But alas, was not meant to be, it seems. So we're now in this trailer in Windermere, which we were there for only a year for my, I think it was my grade 10 year, so I'm like 15 now. We were only there for a year because the people we were renting from a couple months prior to uh, them saying us to, because they have to, I think it was a 2 month notice. I think 2 month notice said, hey, we've got family coming in. We don't like them, but we want them to stay, so they're gonna take the house or the trailer. I mean, so you need to get out. It's being treated unfairly, I think, from the company buying our place to the bank buying our place to now our landlord's kicking us out because they don't like their family members and want them to live elsewhere. Not fair, I personally believe. But what can you do? So we weren't even there for a year and they were telling us to leave. It was almost exactly a year, I believe, when we, again, down to the wire, we found another place. This time it was a fourplex. So there was a person to the living next to us and two people living below us. And we've been there since. Not too bad. Still, it was probably smaller than the trailer that we had just come from. But anyway, yes, that is like my story of going from living an ignorant, childish, fun life to now living in the reality of trying to find an affordable place to stay that accepts pets because we have cats. Not surprisingly, not many places in this entire valley, well, the entire valley I come from. I'm now living in a city. But where I was before, when this all went down, not many places will like your pets. And not many places will take people to rent either. I mean, we've looked at many houses between every move, and we would always look at ones that are like, sure, pets, affordable rent, given our condition. It was, I think every one was either to rent or to buy. Of course, we can't buy them because that's way out of our price range. So we would go for the rent option, take a look around, and then usually, I think every time, there was someone somewhere came up and was like, we'll buy it. And of course, that's the option they went because you get more money out of buying something instead of renting it to some dysfunctional family that can't make money. Quite disappointing. But we make do. We work with what little we have. And I gotta say, it could be worse. It could be homeless, but we have a home. So good enough. And so we've been at this fourplex ever since. Yeah, that's pretty much everything in a nutshell. Definitely had fond memories in each house. I keep saying house. God, there's only one house, and it was terrible. Every place we lived, there were fond memories and there were terrible memories. It's nothing you wouldn't expect from a family. And then it was now. Finished high school. Graduated with honor roll, applied to many scholarships, and then some scholarship. There's one scholarship in particular that's based on almost purely on financial need. I think they offer a significant sum of money, and I'm very grateful because I could not pay my tuition without it. I did have a summer job working with my aunt. But no job is worth it if it's not something you enjoy doing, and I'm more of the I've been into the trains my whole life. Started with Thomas the Tank Engine, and now I'm playing with simulators that are too high tech for my parents to comprehend. Always been into trains. That's the career I'm going for. That's why I'm here taking the railway conductor course. So the odd jobs that I was offered, I was like, this gets me money, but I don't know, it's not really something I enjoy doing. And honestly, if you're not doing a job that you enjoy, you're not going to give it your all. You're not going to put in your full effort, and so it's, in the long run, not worth it. You're better off finding something you enjoy doing, rather than something that feels like a chore. The sun's come out. It's been cloudy all morning. The sun's finally making an appearance. Anyway, I'm distracted. Where was I? Oh yes. Uh, we're now here. Lovely place. People to thank. That's my story. There's more detail for every place, but we don't have time for that. So yeah, school hasn't started yet. Well, when you listen to this, it will start. I've been over this. God, future, past, it's all confusing. Um, I'm currently living on campus. It's a nice little place, kind of like a concrete box, but it's comfortable. I got my computer here. Yeah, it's not too bad. Classes, they are 6 days a week, Monday to Saturday, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., so very, very long days. I expect to be busy. That's why I'm recording this now before school starts, because I have no idea how busy I'll be, given that I have school on Saturday and Sunday's my only day off. Who knows? I could be dead tired. I could be doing homework. I don't know. Don't know until I try it. Anyway, yeah, that's fun. I'm definitely preferring so it's tuition was I think 10K, but worth it. I haven't started, and I already know it's going to be worth it. It already is worth it because I'm away from the place that has treated me unfairly for a very long time. I get to be alone and think clearly without the noise of tourists crowding our towns. Every summer, the population triples from people just coming out of town, coming out of nowhere. They just seep into town and live in their $2 million houses. They spend like a week in there and then go home. I could be living there. I could be renting a house there, but no, you have to own it because you're mean. Anyway, I'm just annoyed in general. But yes, I get to do what I want to do now. That's why it's whether I had, even if I didn't have scholarships, I would if I didn't have the scholarships, I would definitely be taking the year off to work to save up so then I could do this. Because I'm not deviating from my path. I've been on this path. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do it. God damn it! You're not gonna stop me. So, yeah, you can try, but I'm going to do this whether you want me to or not. I don't know. Would you call or not? I have so many thoughts. I can't keep them straight. Let's try this again. Is post-secondary like private because they have to pay for it, or is it still public but you just have to pay for it? I have no idea. That's probably something I could Google, but I don't want to. But yes, I cannot wait to be starting class tomorrow. I think we start with getting our supply sorted. We probably go to I heard somewhere that we go on a trip in our favorite rocket ship and get school supplies, books and things. And then we actually start on various things. There's a book called actually I have it on my desk here. Things are falling off now. The Canadian Railway Operating Rules. There's a whole book with like too many rules to count. So you have to learn that. You get to play with some freight cars that are in the back. They don't move, but we play with them. You learn. What else do you learn? I don't know. Let's do this again and update you on what I've learned. Well, probably, depending on how we'll receive this quote podcast is, I'll probably do another one. I don't know. We'll see. This could be the only time I ever do this, and I completely abandon the idea. Only time will tell. But yeah, I'm steep price, but I'm content with it. Because I'm like I said, I'm doing what I want to do. I'm finally free to do what I want to do, and that's why I will always loved post-secondary more than just your generic public education, high school, middle school, elementary school, because that's terrible, trash, garbage. Get rid of it. At least with this, I can be like, that's what I want to study. I'm going to study it, and they assist me in doing so. With general public education, they say, this is your schedule, you cannot change it, and you're going to learn these things because we want you to. They will probably never benefit you in the future, but too bad. You're here, this is now, you have to do these things in order to graduate, in order to go do the thing you want to do. And it's just, no, no, I don't, I despise public education. It's not, there's so much that I feel like I could have learned, that could have been taught, should be mandatory. Like, how do you pay your bills? How does income tax work? Can I get around that? Can I not? What if I'm self-employed, finding a house to live in, stuff like that. Driving course, that's something I had to pay for it at the college. Not something you get with public education. Nope. You have to pay money to learn what you want. That's what I'm discovering here. Otherwise, it's just, you have to confide by the rules that don't make sense. There's so much I want to complain about that I have to get my thoughts straight. The worst possible thing, the last 2 months of the school year. If I can remember how months work. Hang on, let me just look at my calendar. May and June, the last 2 months before the school year ends. They are the worst possible times to be in public education. Because, well, here's how it works with my school, where I went. You have 8 courses. They should all, I think most of them have to be like your essentials, math, English, science, and then you get a couple courses that are electives. But you cannot go to school. You cannot. You have to have a full schedule. You have to have 8 courses, which are 4 classes in the first semester and 4 classes in the second semester. I think in grade 8 and 9, you have linear courses which go through both the first and second semester. Those, you get 2 of those, and they will alternate every day of the week. And those 2 go the whole year. So grade 8 and 9 is the only time you have more than 8 courses. But for grade 10, 11, and 12, you have 8 courses, unless you get one that's outside of regular class hours. Like, I think band class. There's a couple band classes that are outside of the normal schedule. Apart from that, you have to have a full schedule. And it's always the worst in, I don't know, whatever 2 months I said, May and June, because that's when you start prepping for your final exams, but also the 4 classes you have are still giving you assignments. You still have assignments, you still have final projects, you're also catching up on anything that you didn't finish throughout the semester, and sometimes in the previous semester as well, so you're trying to get all caught up on that. And you're studying for your finals, and you have no time to study because most students will have a full or part-time job at the same time. So even after school they'll go to their job and work until like 10 or 11 at night, and then you go to sleep and you wake up and do it all again. The only time you ever get to do anything is on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And I think it's very important that kids have their time to socialize. And for some, that's not even the case. You work on weekends too, because you're trying to make money so you can pay for the school that you have no idea what you want to go to, because nobody helps you in that. They're just like, here's a course, and then you can find out what you want to do afterwards. And if you don't know what you want to do, then just pay $1,000 a month to go into university and continue studying these same useless courses until you find out what you want to do with your life. Where was I? um, yeah, so the last 2 months are very hectic. You have no time, virtually no studying time, and you still have to finish your assignments because, funny thing, classes continue being classes until the day before finals start. You still get assignments until like a couple days before your first final exam, and then like the last day they're like, okay, study for your exam. It's like, what? I need to finish all these projects, otherwise I fail the course. Hello? It annoys me. The worst possible time of the year. And it's, you can't, grade 8s to 11s are not supposed to have spares. Some do anyway, but you're not supposed to. I didn't. I had full courses all the way through until grade 12. That's when I said, alright, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to have 2 spare blocks in both semesters and no academic courses. Because here's what I did. I did in a grade 10 course when I was in grade 9. So I got credit for a senior course. So I was already ahead of the game when I started my senior year, grade 10. So I was ahead of the game, and then grade 11 I did English 12, which, funny enough, English 12 is the only required academic course in the year of grade 12. So I did that. So I had no academic courses that I had to take. I didn't take any math 12. I didn't take any science 12 because, unlike everyone else in the school, I knew what I was going to do once I graduated. From like grade 5, I was like, all right, I'm going to go and do this thing. I'm going to get into this college and do this thing. And to get into my institute, to take my course, I don't need to be a mathematician. I don't need to be fucking Einstein. So yeah, I didn't take math 12, I didn't take science 12, I didn't take PE 12 because I'm not very physical. I did English 12 in grade 11, so I didn't have to do that either. I had no academics at all in my grade 12 year. It was all elective courses. I took photography, and I was a teacher's assistant, and that was in the first semester. And in the second semester, I took creative writing and senior theater, doing live performances and stuff, because those are the things that I enjoy doing. I like doing those things, which is why I chose to do those things. And then I had the 2 spare blocks in order to finish. I'm tapping on my desk because I can't remember what it's called. Grad transitions, that's what it is. I used my spare time, which was a lot. 2 to 3 hours a day, 7 days, not 5 days a week. A lot of time I had spare, and I wasn't working because I refused to work at the same time as school because that's for mad people. So I had tons of spare time. In my spare time, I would do the grad transitions, which you have to have in order to graduate, oddly. Did that, and then come the last 2 months of the school, the chaos time, I had free time where I could either finish assignments for writing class, study lines for theater, and then after that, just clean up and applying for scholarships, preparing for school afterwards, pretty much. Thinking about this, I just remembered something else that bothered me. First off, you cannot apply for scholarships if you're in grade 11. You have to be in grade 12 to apply for scholarships, which I don't know why. I wanted to apply for scholarships beforehand because at the end of grade 11, I had enough credits because I did some courses beforehand. I had enough credits, I had the requirements. I could have graduated at the end of grade 11, but I would not have had any scholarships. I would have had no means in order to pay for my post-secondary, which is, a lot of money. That's, I think, we've estimated the tuition was like over $10,000. residence is $4K, and then general living costs and all that. It's a lot of money that I don't have. So I wanted scholarships, but I couldn't get them, so I figured, I guess I'll come back for my grade 12 year. That's fine. And in the meantime, I just took courses that I wanted to do. It's like, if I'm going to be here, I may as well do something I enjoy. Because I'm not going to take pre-calculus, good God. And I'm not going to take, I don't know, biology. I hate biology. I don't want to know how things work. It's confusing. It's evolution. Ugh. So there's one thing that bothers me. Furthermore, being in grade 12, I could apply for scholarships, but none of them were available until after, I think it was March. I think after March, they become available to apply for. But here's the thing. I have to, in order to apply to my course in my post-secondary, words are not coming to my brain faster than I can say things. What? God, I don't know what I'm doing. I have a text from someone. Anyway, we'll ignore that. Where was I? So after March, that's when you can apply for scholarships. However, my application, you have to pay in order for the right to apply. I don't know how that works. You have to pay for that. And then for residents, they had to pay like a small fee. I think it was like $300. I think it was like $250. I don't know. I think it was $50 for the application, and then $250 to sort of like confirm your seat in residence. So that was $300 that I had to pay for, which it had to come out of my own pocket because that the time that money was due was before March. It was like at the start of March, and then heck, I've completely lost it. Let's backtrack for a second here. I think okay. So yeah, that money was due before March, but the scholarships were available after March. So I had to pay for that with my own personal money because the scholarships were not available to me when the post-secondary institution was asking for it. There was also a further, once I was accepted into residence, they were like, okay, here you go. In order to hold your place, you got to give us more money. That was a further $750. I think the $300 was for the tuition was like holding my spot in the class, and then the $750 was holding my spot in residence. Yes, I think that's what it was. The $750, of course, was also due before the scholarships were actually available. So there's money that I don't have on me that I have to pay now, but I don't have scholarships or bursaries because they're not available until after the money is due. God. Triggered. So yeah, it's like education systems don't talk to each other. They're just like, this is how we're doing it, and if anyone else does it differently, well, you're screwed. So yeah, that was bothersome. So high stress there. If I had that on top of 4 full courses of academics and whatever, I would be dead. I would have crawled underneath of my bed and just died. I could not have done it without my spares, and they didn't like me having those 4 spare blocks. They only let grade 12s have 1, but I was like, hey. Actually, I had to bring my mother in too because people listen to her. She's scary. She looks terrifying. So we had to go in and be like, hey, give me those spare blocks. I will fight you. My mother will rip your fingernails off. That's painful. Fingernails hurt. So yeah, it was bothersome. I don't like public education. I think it's terrible. Their systems are terrible.
what they teach you is terrible. How they teach you is terrible. It's all terrible. I could go on. I could go on about it forever. It's you. I feel like public education does not prepare you for the future. It doesn't prepare you for getting a job, paying bills, etc., etc. It's like this is how public education sort of treats students. It's like, this is what great minds believe, and we're going to teach you to think these things because this is what we think is true. And then you get into whatever, if you pursue math, if you pursue science, if you go into any, like, somewhere in university, and then they'll be like, the things that we taught you are more than likely not true. You're going to learn now to prove us wrong, or something like that. Because people who discover things don't discover. You don't learn from what is the general norm. It's like 2 + 2 is 4. Well, you find that out by doing. What am I trying to say? God, I cannot think and talk at the same time. It's difficult. Multitasking, it doesn't work for me. People who make amazing discoveries, they don't follow the rules that are laid out for them in your generic public education. They discover by going against the grain of what's taught. They discover by finding out for themselves, by pushing limits and thinking outside the box. Public education does not provide you with the ability. They don't give you that ability to do that. Instead, public education is like 2 + 2 is 4, and there's no way you're going to get around that. If you defy us, you're going to get an F, and that's it. And that's an oversimplification, but you get the idea. So I don't like public education. I think it's terrible. Public education teaches you what to think instead of teaching you how to think. That is public education, and I don't like it. And I much prefer paying loads of money for an institution, because then I can learn what I want to learn, what I think is important to learn, rather than just listening to some teacher who gets paid not enough money to teach idiot students what is in a curriculum laid out by old men that don't know what kids need to learn. Yeah, that's public education. I don't like it. I think I've said that enough. Anyway, now I'm here. Now I'm happy. We're good. That's. If I've been going for 53 minutes. Wow, unnecessary. What have we even accomplished in this hour? I hate public education, and I'm poor. That's all we've learned in 53 minutes. Yeah, that's all I have for now, really. If I do this again, I'll definitely update you on what I've learned, how I've learned, where I've learned. Might rant again on something else. Might continue ranting on the same thing. Who knows? I figured, first off, I was not expecting this to be as long as it is, but we'll do this anyway. I planned for reading out some news articles, just to sort of fill up space and time and content and stuff. So I have some most recent news things here. We'll go through them, see what we think. All right. Let's start off with this one from CBC News. This was, I have no idea how long ago this was posted, but here it is. Muslim women caned in Malaysia over same-sex behavior. That is the title of the thing. Human rights advocate slams punishment as a spectacle inconsistent with Malaysia's civil laws. So this is fascinating. Basically, these two ladies, I assume with each other, were being all same-sex relationships and stuff. There are two photos here of the two ladies. They're covering their faces. From what I understand is they were basically punished publicly basically slashed, what was it, 10 times? I think it was 10 times with a cane, basically, in public, so the public can see it, and it's all because they like each other. It's dumb. It's dumb, dumb, dumb. Two people like each other, the same sex. Let them like each other. Who cares? Why do you care? Why do you care? I don't know. Anyway, we'll read the thing here. 2 Malaysian Muslim women convicted under Islamic laws for attempting to have sexual relations were caned Monday in a rare public whipping that was slammed by rights activists as a grave miscarriage of justice. Lawyers and activists said the women, aged 22 and 32, again I'm assuming with each other, although that doesn't say, were seated on stools facing the judges and given 6 strokes. Okay, so it's 6, not 10. 6 strokes from a light rattan cane on their backs by female prison officers. More than 100 people witnessed the caning in a Sharia courtroom in the northeast, I'm going to butcher this name, Terengganu State, they said. Muslim Lawyers Association Deputy President Abdul Rahim Sinwan, I can't pronounce names, said unlike caning under civil laws, the punishment under Islamic laws isn't painful or harsh and was meant to educate the women so they will repent. The women, dressed in white headscarves and clothing, didn't cry or scream, but, quote, showed remorse. Jeez. It's like I'm drunk all the time. I cannot speak. Showed remorse, he said. Repentance is the ultimate aim for their sin. Because apparently sin... Well, if you read the Bible, then you know that same-sex marriage is sinful. You cannot like someone who's the same as you. That's bad. You cannot do that. Human rights groups slammed the punishment as a setback to human rights and said it could worsen discrimination against people in Malaysia's lesbian, bisexual, gay, and transgender community. So that's the concern with this is, if 2 women that like each other are publicly abused, then the fear is that it will continue to happen in this country and possibly others. Not publicly. People will probably continue to abuse them, which we're trying to avoid. That you don't want to abuse people. They just like each other. Get over it. Don't hurt people because they like people. That doesn't make sense. God, we're so dumb. Caning is a form of cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment and may amount to torture. Amnesty International Malaysia said in a statement, people should not live in fear because they are attracted to people of the same sex. Exactly. The Malaysian authorities must immediately repeal repressive laws, speaking is hard. The Malaysian authorities must immediately repeal repressive laws, outlaw torture's punishments, and ratify the UN Convention Against Torture. So not only are people mad at this because of the same-sex abuse, but also because of how the caning, as it's called, is apparently also a rather aggressive form of punishment. Even though, some states in America still have the, capital punishment. Anyway. Malaysia follows a dual-track justice system. Nearly 2/3 of Malaysia's 31 million people are Muslims who are governed by Islamic courts in family, marriage, and personal issues. The 2 unidentified women were discovered by Islamic officials in April and sentenced last month by a Sharia court to 6 strokes of a cane and a fine after pleading guilty. More names I can't pronounce. Person from the group Justice for Sisters who witnessed the caning said she was shocked by the public spectacle. She said Malaysian laws were inconsistent because civil laws prohibit corporal punishment against female prisoners. That's interesting to me. So corporal punishment, I assume, is given out to male prisoners but not female prisoners. I don't understand the point of that. Should be equal. Punishment should be equal. So should the right to, I don't know. Caning, mean, but, it's whatever. What am I saying? I don't know. You should punish people equally. If you want people to have equal pay, you want people to have equal rights, well, punish them equally as well. It's a two-way street. It's a regression of human rights in Malaysia. It's not about the severity of the caning. Corporal punishment is a form of torture regardless of your intention. Okay. So corporal punishment is apparent. I guess I'm getting from this that corporal punishment is very, very harsh. And it's only given out to, or it should only be given out to male prisoners. But in this case, it was given out to female prisoners, and they don't like that. And also, the reason for the corporal punishment was because two girls liked each other, and it's dumb. Malaysia is seen as a moderate and stable Muslim majority country, but Islamic conservatism is on the rise. The caning occurred amid a climate of fear and discrimination against Malaysia's lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community. A few weeks ago, authorities removed the portraits of two LGBT rights activists from a public exhibition. I think that's right. Malaysia religious minister something Youssef later said the government doesn't support the promotion of LGBT culture. A transgender woman was also beaten up by a group of people in southern state this month. So, if you are LGBT of any sort, don't be in Malaysia. That's what we're learning here. That's the end of that article on that. Yeah, I've said my bits. Be nice to people just because they like other people that are the same sex. And punish equally, I think. And don't punish for dumb stuff, like two people liking each other. That's how I sum up that one. Next one I found here. 8 wounded in gunfire at California apartment complex. This was published Monday, so today, September 3rd. Yeah, that's today, this morning at 9:19 Eastern. So pretty early in the morning. San Bernardino, California. 8 people were wounded, 2 critically, during a shooting at California apartment complex during a dice game, police say. That's what I find entertaining, is that this was during a game of dice, a type of whatever the dice game was. I like to think that it was like a bunch of gentlemen, humble gentlemen, having casual drinks and playing a whatever dice game, and somebody rolled a 2, and he was like, "Frick you!" and he just pulled out whatever gun he was, probably a pistol. I know I shouldn't be laughing at this, but that's what I picture, and I find it quite entertaining. It seems like something you'd read out of a movie, honestly. It's not funny. It's serious. It's important. Serious business. You can't laugh at this. I'm going to continue reading now. Officers arrived at a chaotic scene on Sunday night and had to call for help after a hostile crowd emerged from the complex. San Bernardino police spokeswoman Sadi Albers said. She said investigators are still trying to determine how the shooting unfolded, what preceded it, and whether there was an exchange in gunfire. So, currently, not much is known about what happened, other than that there was a game going on, and then shooting erupted, and a bunch of people were hurt. My thoughts on this: bold stance. Just don't have guns. Don't make them. Don't sell them. Easy. Not easy. I know. Whatever. Just don't have guns. We don't need them. You try to be a progressive country, but you still create weapons of war. No. Stop it. You cannot be progressive. You cannot be for peace and make weapons of war. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Moving on. I'm going to get hate for that one. I guarantee it. Don't have guns. Anyway. I'm beating a dead horse with that one. This one, another sad one. I've got a lot of sad ones here for some reason. Moose drowns. Oh, moose drowns after tourists taking photos force it into a lake. A moose drowned in Lake Champlain after people crowded around the animal to take its picture, Vermont wildlife officials said. Fish and Wildlife Officer Robert Currier told WCAX that the moose swam across the lake from New York to South Hero, Vermont on Saturday. He said it made it onto the land but was forced back into the water, likely feeling threatened by onlookers. The moose succumbed to exhaustion and drowned. Quite unfortunate. Yeah. It happened. Animals either die either naturally or from human cause more often than you think. Because people are like, "Ooh, it's a wild, dangerous animal. I'm going to take a picture of it," until either it somehow gets itself killed or officers come and kill it because it's a threat to me, even though I'm the one who happened to stop my day to take a picture of a wild animal. It's worse in provincial parks here in Canada. A lot of the time you get tourists stopped on the side of the road, or in worse cases, in the middle of the road, to take pictures of whatever animal happens to be nearby. Leave it alone. Leave it. Stop it. Stop it. Leave it alone. If you're gonna take pictures, if you want to see something, go on a hike to where wildlife is. Don't stop on roads. Don't stop. I don't know. Just leave the wildlife alone. Okay? You can Google pictures on the internet. Stop it. They're called wild animals because they're wild. They can either hurt you and then they have to be put down, or they can run away from you and do something dumb and get themselves killed, as this moose unfortunately did. By the way, true fact, the plural of moose is mooses. I'm Canadian. I live with mooses my entire life. I can confirm it's mooses. Don't fight me. Yeah, you're wrong. I'm right. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Leave wildlife alone, please. What's next on here? CTV News. Dismantling Canadian dairy protections won't help U.S. farmers, group warns. As if you wanted to just describe politics in the year 2018, basically trade. It's all about trade this year, and the big controversy. I don't know how you pronounce that. I don't think it matters. The big thing is with Canadian dairy protections, dairy products, blah blah blah, because we have a big import tax on dairy products from outside of Canada. It's stupid amount of money. Virtually no dairy comes into Canada from elsewhere. I don't think any dairy goes out of Canada either. I'm not sure. Anyway, that's the bit of background for that. As Canadian dairy farmers find themselves in the crosshairs of NAFTA negotiations, a member of the industry says that American farmers' problems will not be solved by dismantling Canadian dairy protections. Graham Lloyd, that's Lloyd with 2 L's, general manager of the Dairy Farmers of Ontario Marketing Group, told CTV News Channel that he believes the issue with the American dairy industry is that farmers produce more milk than necessary and rely too heavily on government subsidies to remain in operation. I cannot confirm or deny that, but I can Google it right now. I guess like the big complaint is we're doing all right. Dairy farmers here are doing all right. There's a system in place that basically prevents dairy farmers from overproducing. They're allowed to produce enough milk as supply demands, and that's that. You cannot go over. If you go under, obviously you'll lose profits. I guess the belief is that American dairy producers are suffering because they cannot export their milk into Canada. Okay. I do not know if that's... I believe that's how it is. They want to be able to... They're not... I guess... I don't know. I haven't. I should really do my homework, but I haven't. But yes, this this guy Lloyd thinks that trying to deconstruct the system we have in place for our dairy is a bad idea. It's not going to help U.S. farmers. It will hurt us by a lot, but it won't help American people. That's sort of like the gist of this story. According to Dairy Farmers Canada, who've been in Washington, D.C. for the NAFTA negotiations, Canadian dairy farmers contribute $20 billion to the national economy. Ooh. Lloyd says $6 billion comes from Ontario alone. It's become one of the primary sticking points in NAFTA negotiations between Canada and U.S. Yeah, I don't know why. I've honestly, I didn't even know that the whole dairy thing existed until it became an issue. It's never been brought up in the past, and now it has been for some reason. Because apparently, dairy farmers are suffering. I'm not gonna Google it. I can't talk and Google at the same time. So I'll have to look into that. Maybe next time I'll look into it. I'll keep on to the story. I'll make a mental note. Anyway, that's the big thing with that. Dairy products. Blah blah blah. What else do we have here? Unconscious woman sexually assaulted near Toronto subway station. Yep, that's a thing. Toronto police say they are looking for a man accused of sexually assaulting an unconscious woman outside of a subway station on Saturday afternoon. Unconscious. So, I'm going to presume... Well, she was outside of a subway station. Did she just, come out of the subway and just fall asleep? Was she... I don't know. There's no specifics. There never is. I'm going to presume that she was sleeping somewhere on a bench or something, and then some dude was like, "Hey, I'm gonna touch her." That's oversimplification of things, I know. Police say multiple passersby witnessed the alleged sexual assault of the 40... She's 40. Wow. 40-year-old woman as she lay unconscious on the ground. She was unconscious on... Why was she unconscious on the ground? That's my question. Why are you just sleeping on the ground? What made you unconscious? Did what? Why? I don't know. I feel like it's... First off, why? And second off, who? What? Where? So many questions. So many questions. She's unconscious on the ground. That much we know. Why? Who knows? But she's unconscious on the ground, and then this man, as being said to be about 60 years old, pale skin, large build, short white hair, decided instead of helping this woman who was asleep on the ground, decided to touch her. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. But yes, first off, there you go. Sexual assault can happen to anyone, whether you're old or young, attractive or not. Yeah. It can happen to anybody, and if you see it happening, make somebody aware of it, please. Save a life and tell somebody, either tell the assaulter to get lost or tell some authorities that some sketchy stuff's going down. And if you see a woman unconscious anywhere, don't break her private space. Don't burst her private bubble, her space. Don't do that. If she looks like she needs help, then help her, or just don't. Stop it. People are terrible. Good God. All right, let's go for a more positive story. Last one that's less depressing. Archaeologists uncover one of the oldest villages ever found in Nile Delta, Egypt. I got this because I find, like, when we discover something about our own Earth, I find it truly fascinating. Like, we know so little
about our own planet. Like, we know of the existence of planets that are light years, millions, billions of light years away. We have pictures of them. We know they exist. We've speculated on black holes and what they do in space. So vastly large, and we know so much about it, and yet we know so little about our own planet. So when I see stuff about this regarding our own planet, whether we find something in the ocean or in the ground, it fascinates me. I love it. The Antiquities Ministry said Sunday the Neolithic site was discovered in Tel El Samara. I think that's how you say it. About 140 kilometers north of Cairo. Cairo? Yeah. Chief archaeologist Frederick Guile. What is with the difficult names today? Why can't everyone just be named James Smith? Anyway. Frederick says his team found silos containing animal bones and food indicating human habitation as early as 5000 BC. That would be some 2,500 years before the Giza pyramids were built. In recent years, Egypt was touted... I can read, I swear. I assure you. Egypt has touted discoveries in the hopes of reviving tourism after the unrest that followed its 2011 popular uprising. And there's a video here. It's like a thingy. It's like, I don't know. They found something in the earth. It's like it's open a sarcophagus. I have no idea what that is. Sarcophagus. A stone coffin typically adorned with the skull. Okay, so it's like they found like a stone coffin underground, and they're trying to open it. I don't think they've opened it yet, but they're going to. And whatever's in there, it's going to be fascinating. Fascinating. Very, very fascinating. Yeah. Anyway, that's all the news that I've come up with. We're at almost an hour and 20 minutes. I need something better to do. Yeah, that's the news. It's probably going to be out. It's going to be very outdated by the time you listen to this. But whatever. I hope you listened, enjoyed your listening. If you've made it this far, wow, you really need something better to do. Oh yeah, that's what I have for now. Might come back again. I don't know. What do you think? Was this entertaining to you? Did you listen to this as you drove to work or something? I don't know. Let me know. If you like it, I'll do this again. If not, whatever. I can do something else. All right. I don't know how to wrap this up. Just do something. Follow me on Twitter or something. I talk. Maybe next time we'll do a Q&A or something. I don't know if there is a next time. Go away.